with so many of your fans?
Because I think I don't think it's contrived, you know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of bands who say they have to go out and tell people they're not contrived. Like, that's something we've never had to say. We've never had to describe ourselves to people. And I think that's what's lacking in music in 1999 is soul. You know, we play rock and roll music, but to us, it's soul music. And it's honest, you know what I mean? I'm not ashamed to talk about the good times and the bad times. Because it doesn't matter, you know, you can be a rock star or whatever that's supposed to mean. But that doesn't mean it hurts if someone lies to you or you don't go through, you know, we all go through changes, you know. And I think, you know, the music that's touched me over the years is my main motivation for writing songs still, you know what I mean? There's different writers and, well, there's different bands, writers, painters, movies, you know, like everything that means something to you and help you get through the good times and the bad times and sharing. And I see the Black Crowes as a very giving type of music as opposed to a taking thing, which becomes more of a posing pop star sort of type of thing.
So what do you expect out of your fans at shows? When they're there in the front, they're there in the back, what do you expect them to do at their shows, at your shows?
I want them to do whatever they want to do as long as it's not hassling anyone else, you know. Selfishness prevails in this country, you know, and I just want people to have, you know, dance, sing, take your clothes off. Well, I don't care what you do as long as you're not hurting anyone else around you. You know what I mean? That's like the whole thing, like the 90s, like crowd surfing and all that. That's so, you know, people call, you know, the 80s the me generation. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Well, all you little Gen X crowd surfers. If you know, when you're 35 years old and you look back and your best time was getting held up by a bunch of people at a crowd, I feel really bad for you because it's not about you. It's about everyone. And you really have to look at it that way. You know what I mean? Like, you know, people are people, and people, you know, do drugs and get drunk and things happen. But people should, you know, music definitely should be a catalyst for. It is emotional, man. You know what I mean? And so people get worked up, you know, but you don't want it to like overspill. So violence really freaks us out. We don't like that. I just want people to have any experience they want. Just they have to remember there's other people there. You can't be selfish. How can you have a good time if we're not all having a good time? You know what I mean?
I read a recent quote of yours probably less than a week ago about Lenny Kravitz and yourself, your band, why y'all have stayed around for the past 10 years and other, I don't want to say types of music, have gone by the wayside. I mean, what do you think the state of rock and roll is in? Where do you see it going, and why maybe do you think that certain things went away?
Well, I think things went away because it's so corporate. I mean, and you know, like these people, I see a lot of young bands who don't understand the tradition. And the tradition is you're not the only person to sell millions of records and be on MTV and Rolling Stone magazine. That's, you know, fame and money are the least interesting part of like our whole trip. It's about the creativity. It's about the miles we've put in. It's about what we've learned and what we've lost and what we've loved. You know what I mean? And I think the adventure has come out of it as far as that goes. And I think, you know, and like I said, musicianship is another thing too. You know what I mean? Like one thing the Black Crowes have always been about is our music. That's why we never made Shake Your Money Maker Part 2. That's why we never made Southern Harmony Part 2. That's why we made Amorica and Three Snakes and By Your Side. And they, you know, it's my voice and my brother's guitar and Steve's drums, and we've had some different people along the way. But that sound is the sound of the band. So that sound is going to stay the same, but the themes and things are going to be different because you're different. You know, I'm a much different person at 32 than I was at 22. Right. You know, and I dig that. And if we can explore that through our music, you know, then like, you know, cool, you know, and if people can dig it, like that's what we're about, man. Just, you know, digging it.
Well, speaking of the axe, have you had any information on your brother's guitar that was stolen, or a lot of crap been rolling into the email setup for information?
Yeah, people are looking for it, which is cool, man. You know, I would, you know, I say like violence is uncool, but there's some uncool violence on the guy who stole that guitar. We better hope we never find you, because if I'm going to jail, I'm going on a murder rap. You know what I mean?
What can we expect from your set list? I read a lot of stuff on the internet. Your website it's a great website, by the way. What is the set list going to comprise of? How long you are going to play?
We're doing like an hour 15, and you know, we've gone back to sort of more of a we play if we do maybe 16 songs in an hour 15. I'd say probably 8 of those would be different every night, you know, because we want to play a lot of the new record. You know, we have 5 albums, and you know, it changes. It really depends on how we feel. You know what I mean? I mean, like this tour and with, you know, Sven and Audley and the band, I mean, we've definitely felt like rocking. You know, like I'm like, people like ask me to describe like the new lineup, and it's like, to me, it's like it's a hot rod. You know what I mean? It's like a muscle car, man. You know, it's all shiny with the big thing blower coming out of the engine. You know what I mean? And rev it up, man, and let it go. You know, and that's sort of where we are. You know what I mean? Like, because again, like I said, there's a freedom, man. You know, I got into a band for one reason, and that's the freedom to do whatever I want to do. You know, no one, when I'm on stage, no one can tell me what to do. When I'm in my own headspace writing with my brother, no one can tell us what to do. And that's freedom, you know? And I really believe in that, you know? I mean, and that's a weird thing, you know what I'm saying? Because like I said, sitting first class on an airplane is just convenience. There's nothing, that has nothing to do with anything important, you know? Game show hosts are famous and make a lot of money, and who the hell wants to hear them say anything, you know what I mean?
Are the songs different live? Do you change them up?
They change, and I think that's, you know, that's one thing, another thing that people have lost, and that gets back to what we were talking about before. You know what? You should know about bluegrass, you should know about jazz, you should know about the blues. It's like, you don't have to play those musics, but there's so many people who pat themselves on the back for being ignorant, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I liked Kurt Cobain too, but man, you know, Paul Westenberg did it, you know, when I was a kid, you know, he just wasn't on MTV, you know what I mean?
All right, I see you want to eat. I want to make sure I got everything I wanted to cover. I know you want to eat. That's actually pretty good. I was going to ask you about the taping of the shows, but you're not going to allow the fans to tape during this portion of the tour, are y'all?
That's Lenny's gig, I guess.
Not taping.
You know,
but you don't mind over the years. What do you want to
because
accomplish by the letting the fans bring mic stands in and
by taking a piece of the show home with them? You know what I mean? Because again, we're the type of band that every night's a little different. So, you know, usually the people who are into that, yeah, some people will abuse it and make CDs and try to make $1 off of us. And I, you know, for the most part, it's the real hardcore fans, and they trade. You know what I mean? They trade tapes of shows, and I just want to make I want the Black Crowes experience. I want to make it as enjoyable and as memorable and as special and as shiny and sparkly and all these things as we can every night. You know, and we've been doing that. You know, and we've done that to a fault, to a point, because as a business, we've done a lot of things that a lot of other bands wouldn't do. You know what I mean? Like, you know, it's hard to turn down $1 million sponsorship for a beer company.
Yeah, I remember that.
But you know what? But when you're older, it's like, you know what? Money's money and music's music. It's called the music business. We keep our music, and our business, you know?
Perfect, man.
Outside the boundaries of their phony world of kicks is the ever-present possibility of discovery. This must be avoided at all costs. For discovery brings with it the penalties of society. Shame, arrest, prison. Forget it, man, and get with the countdown. Shake this square world and blast off for Kicksville.